Hello everyone and welcome back to F1 2021. We are going to take a look at the new Jeddah Street Circuit that has just been added to the game, and we will see how the circuit is both to drive and to race on with other cars. We're going to be driving in the Aston Martin as Lance Stroll, and we're going to see how this goes and what we can achieve in this race. We're going to start from the back of the grid with a relatively low difficulty level to give us a chance to get up to speed and fight our way forwards if we can. So that is the circumstances in which we will be going racing with today. So let's just get straight into practice and get up to speed on the circuit. So here we go then, in the pit lane and ready to investigate this track for the first time. To be honest, I don't know really anything about this track other than it's long and fast and has a lot of corners that don't really mean anything. So that is all I could gather from looking at the track map. But anyway, let's get into some practice and see how quickly we can get up to speed around this circuit out of pit lane. And it seems like it's a similar pit exit to Vietnam, where it sort of exits kind of awkwardly onto the racing line. It's actually a very similar first corner, I guess, to the kind of smaller version of the Vietnam first corner, probably slightly better in my opinion. But anyway, we will take some time in the daylight here to get up to speed, as we have a bit of an off already, and that is simply down to not knowing which corner is coming next. But we will soon get up to speed after a few laps of practice. But this is the first lap out of the pits, so I'm seeing all of this for the first time. Slight banks corner here, which is nice as we go under the shadow of the grandstand. The whole track will be in the shadows when we get into the race, as it is a night race. And through this right-hander, I got very confused here. I was following the wall on the right, and
Are you okay?
that happened.
That was a big one.
So
Confirm you're okay,
as I
please.
said, consequence of not knowing the circuit, I was just following that wall along, but apparently the wall doesn't follow the edge of the circuit, and we found that out the hard way on our first exploratory lap. The circuit indeed goes to the left, so let's fix that up and continue learning this track once again. So it's from this practice session I did eventually get up to speed, and we did eventually get on pace with the AI. So I think compared to Imola, I got up to speed with this one relatively quickly. I think Imola took me much longer, and Portimao as well, so potentially it could be a slightly easier circuit. Portimao I did get a good rhythm with during the race though, so we'll have to see if that happens here. I do tend to struggle on street circuits where the walls are close to the edge of the circuit, so we'll see if that becomes an issue. But other than that then, there is not a lot really else to show in practice. We've done one complete lap now. Look how much this last corner tightens up on the exit. It's so wide on the entry, which will be great for overtaking, but on the exit it really tightens up, so that could lead to some tight moments during the race. We'll have to see, but that's enough practice. Let's get into the race itself and see what happens.
Welcome to the Jeddah Street Circuit for what we hope is going to be a gripping day of racing. It's time to get underway as we join the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So let's take a look at the topographical map of the Jeddah Street Circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. Unlike many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn one. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
Well, the throttle goes both ways, Crofty. You've got to have the discipline not to try and win the race on the first lap, so always be prepared to lift early and give those around you more space. Trying to be the last of the late breakers with half a dozen cars around you may pay off from time to time, but it's also a great way to lose your front wing.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Perez, Lando Norris and Leclerc, Sainz, Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso and Pierre Gasly, Ocon, Tsunoda, Sebastian Vettel and Raikkonen, Russell, Giovinazzi, Nicholas Latifi and Mick Schumacher, Mazepin and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
It's going to take me a while to get used to seeing the Saudi Arabian flag on the grid sequence there, but anyway, let's have a look. The strategy will be a two-stop, two sets of softs to a set of mediums, and we will run on the default one there. So we go now to the 5 red lights, and it's lights out and away we go for the very first Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. From the back of the grid, we immediately try and look to the right hand side of the road. There's no space there, so we switch back to the inside, and we'll get up the inside of a couple of cars here as we make a bit of light contact there with Antonio Giovinazzi. We have made places into the first corner as we now run side by side with Mick Schumacher, and we will make that 2 places gained as we head down into the next left hand. We have a look up the inside of Latifi, backed out of that one, that space. I didn't think was going to be there when we got to the apex. Latifi was very aware there and did leave the space for us, but in the end the angle was a little bit too tight for us there, and we couldn't quite fit the car in to the gap. So we sit now behind Nicholas Latifi as we head towards the banked corner for the first time, and we close up to the pack once again here after we lost a bit of time there through the first sector. It's very difficult to follow closely through that first sector, so that will be something to watch out for in the real Grand Prix later this year in, well, actually only in a few weeks time. But we now go on board with Latifi looking back at us, and you can see we're able to follow a little bit closer through this next sector of the circuit. We backed off a little bit there just to make sure we didn't run into the back of him, to give ourselves some breathing room, not 100% knowing what corner's coming next at this point, still not fully up to speed with this circuit, but we will continue to learn as the race goes on. But yeah, you can see a bit of a gap opening up. We'll have a look at the replay at the start then to see what happened at the front of the field. Looks like Lewis Hamilton, after scoring a pole position, was able to lead the way down into turn 1. Sergio Perez and Bottas fighting over third position, with Verstappen in second, and Bottas will take third from Sergio Perez and get ahead of the Mexican driver. But you can already kind of tell in these opening phases through the first few corners, the top 3 spacing out, so it's quite difficult to follow even for them in that section of the circuit. We continue on and we make a move, nice move there around the outside of Nicholas Latifi as we enter turn 1, and we make the move on the Williams driver, and now we chase down the other Williams driver of George Russell, and here's a replay of that Latifi overtake. And we made that nice and cleanly on our fellow Canadian now down the inside of George Russell, and we actually give him a bit of a squeeze there, but we make the move stick into that not really a huge braking zone there, but with the slipstream we're able to pull alongside into this left-hander on the sort of back half of the circuit. I don't know how to refer to corners on this circuit, there's so many of them, as that is Kimi Raikkonen there with an issue, and he will probably retire due to that. He was travelling along very slowly there, but here's the replay of that Kimi Raikkonen issue, and what a view that is. Very unique, seeing water on the left and right there, and that is quite cool. All the edges of the water illuminated as well. But anyway, we continue on then, and now we try to put the pressure on Antonio Giovinazzi. We go down the inside and make the move stick a little bit late on the brakes, but we were able to pull it up and make the corner. Now that Giovinazzi did not have the DRS from his teammate, that was a relatively easy overtake, and now we can push on and try and catch up to our teammate Sebastian Vettel as we push on further into this race and catch up to the cars that we realistically should be fighting with. So Sebastian Vettel is our next target. We continue on then, and we will make the move up the inside of Sebastian Vettel and we'll get that move done in this second complex of corners as we continue to fight with him here, but he's not going to be able to hold it around the outside there of that long left-hander, double left-hander corner, and we make the move stick on Vettel. But that's actually quite a nice, decent side-by-side race there through this section of the circuit until Vettel couldn't quite hold around the outside of the left-handers there. But that was some decent racing, so who knows, maybe this circuit will not be such a bad track for racing wheel to wheel, as Vettel now comes back down the inside into the final corner with a big old toe and slipstream along the back half of the circuit. Sebastian Vettel was able to come back at us. We get back to the inside as we head up towards the first corner. Once again, side by side as we come to the finish line, we get back ahead of Sebastian Vettel, but he's not done yet, because as we continue on, he's coming up towards us. Once again, he's going to go down the inside into the final corner, and we're going to try and switch it back once again to the inside, and we can't quite get the traction on the exit, but with the DRS and the ERS deploying, we're going to get back past our teammate once again and retake what is currently 13th position in this race. We need to stop fighting and try to catch the cars in front, but I can't break away from Sebastian Vettel at this point, but we will hopefully be able to do that soon enough. Continuing on though, we need to make our pit stop in this race time for the first of two, and we'll be going on to another set of the soft compound tyres as we drift our way towards the liminal line there, thankfully able to stop in time. We need a front wing change, as actually you may have noticed hit the wall briefly there, but nonetheless that will cost us some time and positions likely as well.
One stop left in this strategy.
So yeah, we'll continue to push on. The tyres were feeling pretty rubbish by the end of that stint. It was not as much fun to drive around this circuit on old tyres. On brand new tyres though, once I come out of pit lane, and that is going to be close there with Vettel. Thankfully he just pulls out ahead of us, but that could have been a very, very close re-entry to the circuit there for Vettel and myself, and he's come out in front of me. But like I was saying, on old tyres that were probably overheating, this circuit was nowhere near as much fun to drive, but as soon as the new tyres went on, we're straight back on it and having a good time once again. So that's something to keep in mind, that new tyres seem to make a nice, a big difference on the through the corners and a kind of on the limit, I guess, around this circuit. But there's actually a huge number of those, and as long as you get the lines right, it doesn't seem to matter quite as much. But yeah, for me, the main thing is just getting the lines right through the corners. But anyway, we continue on. We re-overtake Sebastian Vettel after he jumped us, thanks to our lengthy pit stop changing the front wing. And we get back ahead of our teammates once again, and that puts us up into 13th position, as there is a mechanical failure up the road. That is Sergio Perez, so that will be a free position for us. Unfortunate for the Red Bull driver, back in the traditional Red Bull livery. It should be noted that Vettel gets back past us as we once again lose out to the German in the slipstream there, and he will retake that position as we sit in his DRS and slipstream. We deploy ERS this time. He defends all the way to the inside wall, and we will retake the racing line on the outside to retake that position and get back ahead of Sebastian Vettel. That puts us up into 12th position as we continue to close in towards the points. Hopefully we can chase down Yuki Tsunoda next and stop fighting with Sebastian Vettel, but we'll see how that goes as we continue through this first sector. Bit of a mistake there, it gives us a very tight line. We just cannot make the next right-hander at all, and Vettel gets back past us once again, and we are still too busy fighting with our teammate to get anywhere near Yuki Tsunoda. We continue on towards the first corner once again. This is our favourite overtaking spot, it seems. We go down the outside of Sebastian Vettel, and we make the move stick once again around the outside there, leaving him some room on the exit, but he can't hold it there anyway, and we make that position. Continuing on then, and we are still charging our way further through this race, but Vettel is still being a threat to us as we go a little bit deep there, and he re-overtakes us as we get a very tight line there through that little right-hander. And that is the type of corner you need to get your line very precisely correct to be able to take it well, and as we were pinched on the inside after going deep and having Vessel on the left, that gave us a very tight line. We had to back out of the throttle to make that corner. We had to back off quite significantly, so yeah, that cost us speed all the way down that straight. So little differences like that can make a bigger have a big effect by the time you get to the other end of the straight. We re-overtake Sebastian Vettel anyway, same place as usual, around the outside of the first corner, and get ourselves back up into 12th position once again. We continue on though, and it's actually not Vettel attacking us this time. It's Esteban Ocon, who's on a 3-stop. It should be noted, so we'll see how that plays out. He was previously fighting with Tsunoda before the first round of pit stops, so we'll see where the two of them finish in comparison to each other. And yeah, we actually didn't mention it at the time. You have noticed though, I got a penalty for crossing the pit exit line. It was actually on the left hand side, so not crossing it onto the circuit, just crossing it onto just the edge of the pit lane, and that gave me a penalty, which we of course had to clear while we were stopped in the lane just now. So yeah, I forgot to mention it at the time, but it was just here on the previous pit exit attempt after the first pit stop. I just crossed that line on the left by a little bit too much. It was only with 2 wheels. I didn't get all 4 wheels across the line, not even close, so it's very sensitive to crossing that line, but that's fair enough, as it is a safety concern, I suppose. But anyway, we come out of pit lane right behind my teammate, Sebastian Vettel, because he had to make a stop to change his front wing. Don't ask me how that happened. But anyway, we continue on and make a move around the outside of Sebastian Vettel. He blocks that off, and we have to sit behind him for a little bit longer. We couldn't quite brake late enough that time to make the move stick, and we stay behind our teammate for a bit longer. Can we maybe go for a move up the inside here? No, can't quite get the presence on the inside to do that, and we will need to wait for a better opportunity. As you can see, we're trying to stay you know, away from his lines and trying to just take alternative lines to stay out of the dirty air, but then it just ruins your line into the next corner on a flowing track like this. That just doesn't really work. So yeah, we had to abandon that tactic and just go for our traditional overtaking opportunity down into the first corner. We're able to get it done, and now we shift our attention to Antonio Giovinazzi, who has yet to make his final stop. We made our final stop early, so that is why we are out of sequence. I just wanted to get off those soft compound tyres that I was not enjoying. We had a nice launch though off the banking there and make a move on Giovinazzi on the exit, so that was a nice little move to use the downhill run off the banking to get a good exit out of that corner. We'll show this shot again though over the water, and we'll have a look. You can see the many bright colours in this area, and it's going to look very cool on TV. I think once it is all lit up at night. And yeah, it's still a long way to go until we catch up to Yuki Tsunoda, but we are chipping away and catching up to him. You can see we just took the fastest lap of the race, so we're really finding our rhythm around this circuit as we get past Nikita Mazepin, who is now a lap down to us, and we actually catch up to Esteban Ocon first, who has now made the final of his 3 pit stops in this race, and he's come out not too far behind Tsunoda, so you know, 2-stop, 3-stop, both could really be viable depending on your track position and what kind of race you're having, and when safety cars emerge and such forth. So we make the move on Esteban Ocon, and we get past him relatively easily. We get blue flag though just as we were catching up to Yuki Tsunoda, but that may actually help us in the end as we let Verstappen and Hamilton pass. They're very close. They've been fighting for first position the last few laps, and they will continue to do so. But if we can stay close to Verstappen and Hamilton, as we have a little bit of a mistake there, it doesn't really cost us too much though, and Tsunoda has to get out the way along the straight. We're able to let them pass on the corner. That's given us a big advantage as Tsunoda has no speed there, and we will sweep straight past the young Japanese driver, and we'll get up into 10th position and get up into the points here. Tsunoda though, keen to come back at us as he heads to the outside. As we head into the last corner, we give him just enough room there as he tries to switch it back to the inside, but can't quite get there as we cover that off, and Tsunoda not able to make that move stick. Here's the replay once again, And look how wide the run into the final corner is. There's going to be plenty of space if someone wants to make a dive there. Really tightens up on the exit, but that camera shot really shows how wide the entry is there to that final corner. Sonoda gets back past us once again, and we're going to have to pull the same move as we had to actually lift off there. We were so close to the back of Sonoda with nowhere to go. But we now make the move around the outside of Sonoda once again, a little bit deep there, and we still manage to just about make the corner and get ahead of Yuki Tsunoda once again, and we will move away up into 10th position. But further up the road, there is still a fight going on for the race lead. That is Lewis Hamilton trying to make the move around the outside, and he actually gets past very easily there with the DRS assistance, and takes the lead from Max Verstappen as they head on to the final lap of the race. That is Mick Schumacher, who is almost there, getting in the way of Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen gets through more easily, and that's allowed him to close right up to the back of Hamilton once again, and Schumacher keeping Verstappen in play. And now Latifi will also have to get out of the way of the race leaders in the Williams car there, but I think he's not going to do that quite yet. He's very, very slow through there. Hamilton definitely being held up. Verstappen with an opportunity here. He goes to the inside as they head towards the banking. They're going to be side by side through the bank corner. Verstappen on the inside, Hamilton on the outside, and Hamilton's going to get the drive on the exit with the NASCAR line around the outside, and he will just about maintain the position. But Verstappen could be in a good spot here because he will have the slipstream and the DRS along this incredibly fast back section of the circuit. So if he can find an opportunity, he will make a move potentially into the final corner and have the DRS advantage running into there. We'll see how it plays out, but you can see losing a little bit of time there, and that could be the difference. We'll see how it goes as he now has that DRS advantage as they head towards the final corner, but he was blocked there. He had nowhere to go, lost a bit of momentum, and Hamilton was able to take the inside line as they go side by side through the final corner. Hamilton's going to hold on. Verstappen not quite able to keep the car on the outside, and Lewis Hamilton is going to win the first Saudi Arabian Grand Prix by the smallest of margins. Max Verstappen brings home a very close second position, and what a drive from both of them. What a show at the end of this race. We'll come home and we'll bring home one singular point for the Aston Martin team, and I'm not complaining about that.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
So there you go. Despite what a lot of people were fearing, a lot of good racing around this circuit we were able to see today.
The Mercedes team pulled out a fantastic performance today. They should be proud. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
So Lewis Hamilton wins the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Max Verstappen finishes in second position with Valtteri Bottas in third.
Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Lance Stroll certainly put in an impressive performance today. No doubt his team and fans are extremely proud.
Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
0.152 seconds is all that separated Hamilton and Verstappen in the end there. If the real Saudi Arabian Grand Prix was to finish that closely, I will do a water shoey with my thong. That makes sense. Anyway, we actually saw some pretty decent racing there, especially with Verstappen and Hamilton on the last lap. We had a good battle with both Vettel and with Tsunoda and with Ocon. So, you know, maybe at least in the game, it would actually be a pretty decent circuit for racing. Of course, as I mentioned at the start, relatively low difficulty level, so the battling will probably be a little bit different on a more level playing field. We did definitely have a bit of a pace advantage whenever I wasn't making mistakes, but that's why I was running a low difficulty level. I make a lot of mistakes when I'm learning a circuit, and now that I'm a little more up to speed, I will be able to run a proper, a more appropriate difficulty level once we get to this circuit in a career mode sense. But nonetheless, I actually really enjoyed this one. Probably not quite as much as Portimao. That's probably my favourite of the 3 new circuits, but this one was still very good, and I am yeah, overall pretty impressed with this track. Very much enjoyed driving around it. The racing's decent, just doesn't have that sort of elevation that Portimao has, which is what puts that circuit ahead, but nonetheless really enjoyable track to drive around. And yeah, as you can see, we had some good battles as well, so that is really all we can ask for. But yeah, other than that then, there is not a lot left to cover, so thank you so much for watching. Feel free to give me some feedback in the comments, let me know what you think of this circuit also, and I will see you next time when we get back to some regular My Team and Formula 2 content. Thank you so much, I'll see you next time, goodbye.